Welcome to Pretty Lies and Alibis. Let's seek the truth and travel the long road to justice together. What you know, Alibis, hope you're having a great Monday. I'm sure everybody's back to work, same old grind, if you do work. And wanted to go ahead and get this episode in with what we're learning about the suspect in the Idaho murders, Bryan Kohberger. People are speaking out. It's given a lot of insight to me as far as the type of person he was. We're going to get into that. First, want to give a big thank you to Laura, Donna, Debbie, Patricia, Sharon, and Justine for your generous donations over the weekend. I'm going to get back to thanking everybody. It got a little crazy with the lives and everything, but appreciate everybody who's donated. It helps a lot. Music fact of the day. Who was the inspiration for the song Baby Got Back by Sir Mix-a-Lot? Well, in 2014, Sir Mix-a-Lot told Vanity Fair that none other than Jennifer Lopez, her smooth dance moves on In Living Color, where she got her start, by the way, served as his primary inspiration for writing Baby Got Back. Now you know. University of Idaho, let's jump in. So the family of Bryan Kohberger, it's interesting, a couple of members of his family work in the mental health field. His dad is a maintenance worker and his mom is a substitute teacher who people call genuinely kind people. And that's usually how it goes in these cases. These families that seemingly are normal end up caught up in these evil deeds by no choice of their own. So his family actually had some financial issues back in the day, some bankruptcy problems. The last one being when he was a teenager. You never know how that affects somebody that to give up their house and their car. I'm not trying to shame them. This is just what's out there in mainstream media. And a lot of these things sometimes can contribute collectively to how somebody ends up the way they are. He had just finished his first semester as a criminal justice criminology PhD student, as we know, and we know he returned to Washington State University to continue teaching after the murders. Now, his lawyer has issued a statement on behalf of the family. Now, this lawyer is the one that's dealing with the formalities there in Pennsylvania before he's extradited. But it says, first and foremost, we care deeply for the four families who have lost their precious children. There are no words that can adequately express the sadness we feel, and we pray each day for them. We will continue to let the legal process unfold, and as a family, we will love and support our son and brother. We have fully cooperated with law enforcement agencies in an attempt to seek the truth and promote his presumption of innocence rather than judge the unknown facts and make assumptions. We respect privacy in this matter as our family and the family suffering loss can move forward through the legal process. Sincerely, Jason Labar, Esquire. And that was on behalf of Mr. Kohberger's family. So his lawyer also says that he is not going to fight the extradition back to Idaho, which could happen anytime now. I'm sure they're very eager to get him back. We'll get that probable cause affidavit once he's been served with the arrest warrant. That should answer a lot of questions. It's not going to be everything they have, but it's going to be a summary of the charges they were able to get that arrest warrant with. So I'm interested to read that. His lawyer said the decision to agree to extradite is easy. He doesn't contest that he's Bryan Kohberger. What people can say is, hey, you have to prove I am who I am. Then you get the governor's office involved. But apparently he's going to cooperate with that. We know he has no prior arrests according to public record. It's being reported in mainstream media that an unnamed source says he was stalking the students. We don't know if it was one in particular or all four in the weeks leading up to the murders. So I just want to revisit some things that I've put on prior episodes, but he became the suspect around Christmas time and they stayed on his trail for 4 days when they saw the white Hyundai, followed him to Pennsylvania, watched him very closely. He apparently had been studying forensics and that's a big deal. I think this has benefited him for 7 weeks in evading capture. Now, go follow Anjanette Levy on Twitter if you don't already. She talked to his attorney in Pennsylvania, who said Bryan spoke with police for 10 to 15 minutes before invoking his right to counsel. He was asked by investigators if he knew what's going on, and Kohberger said something to the effect of course, I know what's going on. I live 10 minutes from this. Then he asked for a lawyer. His attorney said, obviously, Kohberger is intelligent and says he's calm, fully aware, and it shouldn't shock anyone he's smart since he's getting his PhD. His attorney says he has no concerns about Kohberger's mental health, although yesterday he said he wanted an evaluation before any court proceedings, but he isn't worried that Kohberger would take his own life and says the suicide vest is standard procedure in a case of this magnitude. So he also confirmed that Kohberger's dad flew to Washington to make that drive back to Pennsylvania with Kohberger for winter break. And he says that was planned before he even went to Washington for school in the fall, saying the drive happened also between December 13th and the 16th. The car was actually having some maintenance done after they made that trip to Pennsylvania. His family can't afford a lawyer for him, and so we don't know who we can expect to represent him once he's back in Idaho, but again, probably will be indigent and have a public defender. His Pennsylvania attorney anticipates this will be a capital case. Remember, they do have the death penalty in Idaho. Lori Vallow, Chad Daybell are up for it right now. And his defense attorney said, I don't want Bryan to be tried in the court of public opinion. Let's wait until the facts come out, not assume anything. It's also important you don't jump to conclusions. He also says Kohberger doesn't remember asking anyone after his arrest if anyone else had been arrested. He said Kohberger is a strict vegetarian and is being accommodated for his diet in jail. Now, what's interesting is a former aunt by marriage who's no longer a part of that family spoke to the New York Post and said that his dietary restrictions were very weird, saying he was above and beyond a vegan. Look, I ain't judging vegans, okay? I'm just putting out what's out there. His aunt and uncle had to buy new pots and pans because he would not eat anything that had ever had meat cooked in them. He seemed very OCD. Again, people with OCD don't normally do these things. I'm just repeating. Once in Idaho, he'll have that first hearing on those first-degree murder charges and the burglary for breaking in to commit the murders. Once he's seen that arrest warrant and that first appearance has been had, Police Chief James Fry said they will unseal and release the probable cause affidavit, and I'm interested to get that. So here's some photos of Bryan throughout the years. The one on the left is from high school. The one on the right is from the DeSales University. But we're still hearing from students who interacted with Kohberger, and I think it's really important to put these together, and that's why I'm doing this, because it gives us a little bit of an idea who he is away from the headlines and how he's been consistently over the years by people who know him. So a former high school teacher told the Daily Beast he never got in trouble in high school and was very passionate about criminal justice. She thought he would either become a police officer or a correctional officer. She said he would watch police movies and ask her the next day if she had seen it. She said overall he liked school, got good grades, did well at the vocational tech school. He had friends and planned to go to school for criminal justice. She thought he had his life in order. A little hard time talking today, y'all. I did not party last night or anything. I promise you that. Another high school classmate said a lot of people actually made fun of him. They don't know if it was because he was quiet and shy or how heavy he was. We know he was a larger kid in high school, but then got thin, according to other classmates, due to some addiction issues. But you could tell he was a smart, organized student, like all A's, and really to the point. One student told the Times she got into an argument with him about criminology concept, and he proceeded to mansplain it to her. If you're a woman, you know we all hate mansplaining. Don't act like we're dumb. Yeah, that's never a good thing for a guy to do. The girl was so upset over the conversation and how it went that she got up and left class and didn't even get her personal belongings, which tells me a lot. Another student at Washington State University was in a class that he taught or helped teach and noticed he avoided eye contact with all of them. He would also leave long notes on their papers he had graded after the murder. Talked about this yesterday. He loosened up and quit leaving those notes. One of the best feelings of having Gladskin on my podcast is feedback from a friend who's tried everything to help ease their daughter's discomfort from eczema. Using the eczema cream, it's the only thing that's helped her. If you've been living with eczema, acne, or rosacea, you can relate to the frustration of trying many products without any long-term relief. You can expect something different with Gladskin. Gladskin specifically works to target the imbalance in your skin's microbiome. And Gladskin uses MicroBalance, a revolutionary protein that restores the balance of the good and bad bacteria that live on your skin so it can finally heal. Is so effective that 91% of users, both adult and children, who tried their top-selling eczema cream reported significant improvement after just 7 days. So if you've been frustrated with your treatment options, don't wait to try Gladskin. They are offering my listeners 15% off plus free shipping on your first order at gladskin.com/whattheworld. That's gladskin.com/whattheworld for 15% off plus free shipping. gladskin.com/whattheworld. I love Thrive Market. I've been able to find brands not widely seen in stores that are much cheaper than other places online. I've been using their Foy CBD relief cream for my knee with amazing results. And this is just one example of the many products you can find to better your life, from foods to beauty to health. As a Thrive Market member, I can save money on every single order. And on average, I save 30%. On my last order, I saved $93. On top of the massive savings on each order, Thrive Market has a deals page that changes every day. It gives me cash back on many brands, and they have a price match guarantee. You can search dietary restriction using filters, and even better, they help a family in need with their 1-for-1 membership matching program. You join, they give. Join Thrive Market today and get 30% off your first order plus a free $60 gift. Go to thrivemarket.com/whattheworld for 30% off your first order plus a free $60 gift. That's Thrive, THRIVE, market.com/whattheworld, thrivemarket.com/what. So Ben Roberts, a Washington State University criminology classmate of Kohberger, told News Nation Now, Bryan seemed like he was on the knife's edge between exhaustion and worn out at the time. It was extremely difficult to tell which was which. I'm assuming this means after the homicides. And another student, Nick McLaughlin, told the Daily Beast that he was friends with Kohberger in high school and they went to vocational school together. He said Kohberger was intelligent, well-spoken, but detached. He was very leveled and somewhat imposing. There wasn't much emotion displayed by him, and said that he remembers specifically Kohberger's intense stare, which if you look at this picture, you can see that. Not that an intense stare is an indication of anything, but knowing what we know, it kind of fits. Former friends and high school classmates also told the Daily Beast that Kohberger had the drastic weight loss and was a victim of cruel bullying. Huge interest in police movies and criminology, like we've heard. So another one of his, Nick McLaughlin, who we just talked about, said he was down to earth and overweight when they graduated their junior year. During their senior year, he was thin as a rail and became aggressive and picked up taking boxing classes. He always wanted to fight somebody. He was bullying people. We started cutting him off from our friend group because he was 100% a different person. So his senior year, he spent half the day in school and the other half in vocational school. And he took classes in heating and air conditioning work, also criminal justice courses, with the plan to possibly become a cop, according to this classmate. The friendship between Nick and Kohberger ended when Kohberger put the moves on Nick's girlfriend. He would reach out to her saying, I can get us a bottle and we can hang out tonight. So, a neighbor of Kohberger's at the university housing for grad students told the New York Post, I don't know how he could have killed people because he doesn't look that tough. It's crazy. People can look very unassuming and be capable of very evil and violent things. She said they always heard him up late at night saying he would vacuum between 1 and 2 in the morning. And the neighbor actually thought about confronting him since she has small children. Now, in this complex for grad students, there are families that live there with kids. But she also said one night he brought a woman home and they parted ways when they got out of the car, and she doesn't know what came of that. So, serial killer expert Dr. Catherine Ramsland, who wrote the autobiography on the BTK killer, taught Bryan. She spent decades researching serial killers and mass murderers and developed a close friendship with Dennis Rader, who is the BTK killer who killed 10 people. She's written 35 nonfiction books and appeared on countless TV shows. She's also been a consultant for shows such as NCIS and shows about forensic sciences. She actually appeared on News Nation Now recently about the Delphi case. But in a 2009 interview with WOW, Women on Writing, which is a website, she said, it's clear that everything I do truly engages me has this dark, edgy quality. Vampires, ghosts, corpses, serial killers, death investigations, cemeteries. They all take me into the shadows where most people fear to tread. She would not comment on Kohberger at this time, but you have to think, if you're being taught by one of the best in the country on forensics, it could have been a source of note-taking for him that led him to evade capture for 7 weeks in this case. Now, the BTK killer's daughter, Carrie Rawson, told News Nation Now, it's hard to believe the kid, it's hard to be the kid of this guy and live with this, meaning the daughter of the BTK killer. And then seeing somebody else do this and wonder, did your dad influence this? Did my dad talk to him? Was he studying my father outside of academics? Am I ever going to get answers to that? I don't know. But Dr. Ramsland has written actually 68 books, which include How to Catch a Killer, The Psychology of Death Investigations, and The Mind of a Murderer. A student in that class said that Kohberger often spoke over Dr. Ramsland and acted as if he knew more than her. It's that illusion of grandeur. I'm better than you. And I think all that fits into some psychological profile that has yet to be done on him. A former professor and teacher of Kohberger's at DeSales University, her name is Michelle Bolger, said she's in absolute shock after hearing what he's been accused of. She said he was among the smartest students she had ever had, calling him a brilliant student and a great writer, which goes back to Ted Bundy for me. He was always perfectly professional when I had any interactions with him. In my 10 years of teaching, I've only recommended 2 students to a PhD program, and he was one of them. He was one of my best students ever. Everyone is in shock over this. She said, I'm shocked as crap. She used a different word at what he's been accused of. I don't believe it, but I get it. She taught Kohberger last year in an online class and actually helped him with his master's thesis project. She said, I was one of the professors who helped Bryan with his proposal on his graduate thesis, his capstone project. He put out a routine questionnaire for his thesis. It looks weird, I understand, from the public view, but in criminology, it is normal. It's a criminology theory they call script theory. It's a normal theory on how and why criminals commit their crimes. In the end, he didn't use anything from the questionnaire he put out, and you won't find it anywhere, the questions. Instead, his graduate thesis was a narrative based on the information. She said he was an online student in the criminal justice master's degree program and graduated in June of this year. She never met him in person, but knew him from his online work through Zoom and email. She said she never saw a dark side of him and says she really hasn't slept much since hearing the news of the arrest. Joe Walsh, who's the instructor of computer science and criminal justice and director of the Master of Arts Criminal Justice program at DeSales University in Pennsylvania says the school has a mock crime scene house, which gives students actual hands-on practical experience in investigating criminal activity. Her impression was he wanted to pursue a career in academics, teaching, after graduating from the PhD program. The 30 hours master's degree program he graduated from, it's a 30-hour course that cost about $24,000. So he's invested a lot of time in learning about this. I do think ultimately he pulled a lot of things in relation to this crime. My question is, you start with 4 people. Are we going to start looking at unsolved crimes in Pennsylvania? Specifically, that's where he was. He was only in Washington from the fall up until now, when he was arrested. But even then, you never know. It's hard to believe that 4 murders this brutal was the first. That's a lot of people. Anyway, so that's the latest of what we've learned just personally about him through people that know him. I'm keeping an eye on everything. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications. If anything else happens, I'm going to pop on and let you know. But until then, you guys have an amazing afternoon, and we'll probably see you tomorrow.